For once, we're on the right end of an absolute European walloping. Welcome to the Arsenal Bite Size Podcast. I'm your host, Clayton, here to review PSV 1, the Arsenal 7. Honestly, I'm speechless after last night. There's so many different things I want to talk about after yesterday, but I think the first place I want to start is obviously there were so many times in Europe we were just a laughing stock, and I think the round of 16 was just a formality in terms of us going out, and we've had those 10-2s against Bayern Munich, the slappings against Barcelona, and it's like you would just see big clubs perform on the European stage, and that's us without an attack. I don't care what people are saying about the state that PSV have been in or their form or how bad they were. Like, one thing I've got to say, this always happens with Arsenal. Whenever we put someone to bed, the first thing is always, oh, how crap were they? They were crap because of us. Like, there's not another team, I think, that goes and beats them 7-1 despite the state they're in. Like, that's on us what we did. And unbelievable. I'm just so over the moon. And I think especially as, I mean, he's in the chat, isn't he, Uncle Mike? Oi, oi. All the way out in South Africa. We did a pod on Monday, I think it was, and we were talking about, I mean, could we keep it to a draw? Like, could we nick a win, take it back to the Emirates? I don't think any of us saw something like this. I know a couple of my mates messaged me during the week saying they thought we'd get the job done and it would be relatively straightforward, but of course they didn't think like this. And I just think, again, it echoes onto what Mike and I were saying on Monday. If you haven't watched it, go and check out Monday's pod. It was pretty much an hour just discussing Mikel Arteta, and it last night just points to even more so to me how much of an elite coach he is. There's not many managers in the world that are capable of coaching a game like last night without an attack. 7-1 away from home in the Champions League. 7-1 in the knockout stage. Like that, this is absurd. It's absolutely absurd with two Haylenders in the starting 11 as well, an out of position midfielder playing up top. Unbelievable. I think with this one, I'm gonna go player by player. Actually, no, I'll go goal by goal, because by going goal by goal, I'll cover half the players and then I'll cover the other players that I missed out. But yeah, if you're live in the chat, make yourself known. Let me know how you were feeling, because last night was special. It was so special, and I think, do you know what it was? I felt a little bit checked out around Arsenal, to be honest, the last couple of weeks. Like, the West Ham game was the final nail in the coffin for the Premier League title in my headspace. And then the Nottingham Forest game was a 0-0. And I thought the Nottingham Forest game was better than West Ham, but without any real threat in the final third. So that, within that context of those two games, 70 minutes against Leicester that I saw prior to the two goals, in my headspace, I was just like, I don't know what there is for the rest of the season, to be honest. Like, the league's done. In my honest opinion, prior to the game last night, I didn't think we could compete in the Champions League, because I was just like, I don't know how we're going to score goals. But the one thing I forgot, in the Champions League, unlike in the Premier League, teams actually try to play us, because I think two factors, in my opinion. One, it's a knockout tie. So the onus is on a team to actually go and play and try qualify. It's not like in a league game. I think the difference in a league game is you're battling it out over 2 games for 6 points over a 38 game week period. In a knockout, that's it. 2 games and you're done. You're dead. So I think as a result, teams go for it. And I think as we'll get into the latter stages of the tournament, as we play the better teams, there's even more of a self-confidence in their ability and their attack. So they will go for it regardless. So we're going to, I mean, obviously, if we play Atletico, that will be different. But Real Madrid will go for it. If we play Liverpool or PSG, they'll go for it. Villa, maybe not, but I know I'm dreaming. But I think that's where my headspace was at. And I could see it straight away within the first few minutes. It was a reminder to me of, oh, yeah, when teams actually play us, we'll slap them regardless. And that's a coaching thing. Like, do you know, I can't stress this enough. What we did last night, without an attack, regardless of who the opposition are and how people rank them, that's not normal. Like, we are so well coached, and I think we've, myself included, have fallen into this camp of almost like, oh, our games can be a bit turgid to watch. But it goes both ways. Our games can be turgid to watch, not just because of Arsenal. It's because teams come and park a bus against us and we're playing teams where it's an attack versus defense drill. We've got 10 men behind the ball against us. And that's a team that comes with that style of play, which forces us to play a certain way, which we struggle to break them down. Like, I think it goes both ways with that. I don't think it's just Arsenal are dull. Because look, whenever there's space, West Ham away, Palace away, boom, boom, bang, done, dead, goodbye, good night. Last night, it was again the same. And I think, do you know what? We may see two different Arsenal teams for the rest of the season. One in the league, one in the Champions League. Because in the league, I've got no doubt Man United are going to park it. Chelsea will park it. All the tin pot teams will park it against us because they're pathetic. Like, I get it as a strategy. It's probably the best way to maximize winning against us. But it's pathetic when you're playing against an Arsenal team that doesn't have an attack and you're still trying to park it. I think that says a lot about the kind of quiet respect teams have for us and our manager, because look what happens when you try play us. We'll play you off the park. So unbelievable night. We needed that. I definitely needed that. Like I said, I was feeling quite detached. I didn't have the feeling around it of a European knockout tie for me personally going into it. And then 7 o'clock hits. I turn on the coverage. I hear the Champions League music. I listen to Arteta's interview. Like I always say, I find him such an inspirational and inspiring leader. So every time he talks, I get an endorphin hit. I get a dopamine hit and I'm engaged. And as the clock went from 7 o'clock close to 10 to 8 and kickoff gets closer, I'm feeling more invested. I'm feeling more intrigued. But I still have this doubt in me of like, how are we actually going to score? And the minute it kicked off, the first few minutes, I said to myself, we're winning this comfortably. I knew we were going to win the game. There was space. They were trying to play us. They were trying to press us. And look what happened. I mean, the first goal, Jurrien Timber. I mean, well, let me talk through events that I remember. What I'm going to try to do on this, like I said, I'll talk through goal by goal. I'll then go player by player, and hopefully with that I'll cover everything. If you're live in the chat, let me know. Let me know if I missed anything. And yeah, share your thoughts on how you're feeling. It's unbelievable. And also let me know, who do you want? Real Madrid or Atletico Madrid as well? Curious on that. I've booked my flights. Flights have been booked, so I will be out in Madrid the week of the second leg. Yeah, because we're away in the second leg, aren't we? So yeah, book my flight. Very hopeful I'll get a ticket. Yeah, quietly confident I'll get one. So fingers crossed. But yeah, on the game, first 10 minutes, like I said, it was amazing. I could just tell we were there. 15 minutes in, though, they have a chance, don't they? And I forgot who it was, but the geezer that, I think, did he hit the bar and it came back and then they hit it wide or something? But like, should have been 1-0 up. It was a crossing from a crossing from the left. Raya parried it out. I want to say the guy hit the bar and it came back and then someone put it wide, but that was very much against the runner play. I remember that being their first attack. Yeah, and then we go up the other end and capitalise. And I've got to say, Jurrien Timber, he was absolutely outstanding last night. Declan Rice, again, even he was absolutely phenomenal, just everywhere. Absolutely everywhere he was. He obviously had the ball in the back of the net as well with a great finish from outside the box, but was offside. He puts in the cross for Timber, and Timber dunked on his childhood friend Noah Lang at the back post to put us 1-0 up. And even that, like, there was a lot of discussion around those two in the build-up, and Timber dealt with him both offensively and defensively, to be honest. Lang obviously scored the penalty, and what a penalty it was. But Raya, bit suspect, just kind of stood there, looked a bit stunned. But yeah, 1-0 up. 3 minutes later, Ethan Nwaneri. I mean, Miles Lewis-Skelly, we'll talk about the second yellow card incident in a second, but I want to talk about his performance despite the 35-minute substitution, because he was great. He did not play like a kid that is exactly that, a kid, 18 years old in the Champions League, in the knockout stages, in an environment that it sounded fairly hostile, but I don't know, I'd be interested to speak to the guys that actually went. All I could hear was the Arsenal fans on the telly, actually. But still, it was like it had the makeup of an intimidating atmosphere, and he was fantastic on the ball. And one of his trademark things where the ball gets fizzed into him, wiggles out of it, goes out, wriggles through, puts it left. He was fantastic. And I've got to say, that goal, I mean, what's the stat? Is it they're the youngest duo to combine for a goal in the Champions League? I'm sure I've heard. And you see the photo of the back of their shirts and Made in Haaland. It is special. It's so special. It makes me laugh when you hear comparisons to other youngsters that are doing it at certain levels, and you see what our boys are doing on the big stage in the Champions League. Miles Lewis Skelly to Ethan Nwaneri, and what a hit. Rocket into the top corner, into the roof of the net, 2-0 up, and I was going mad. I think I punched the wall at that goal. So, yeah, my hand's still a little bit damaged. But it was just a release of energy, and I can't put it into words. Lewis Skelly then got his first yellow a few minutes after, and then, yeah, very shortly after that, he was very fortunate to be given a warning, essentially, and not given a second yellow. But do you know what? This is an Arsenal pod, so there's certain platforms and certain podcasts I'm on where I have to be diplomatic. This isn't one of them. I fucking rate how the referee dealt with that, and this is the one where I can just get my Arsenal bias out there. In the Premier League, am I saying it wasn't a second yellow? No. But I think what was refreshing to me was a referee using almost a bit of common sense. Like, it was 2-0. Did it need the definitive, like, oh, you're going to get sent off now? Like, he used a bit of, well, I don't know if it was common sense. He used a different perspective, which was so refreshing to be on the other side of, considering how punished we have been for things this season. Again, am I saying it wasn't a second yellow? No, it was just very refreshing to see it refereed in a very different way. Where in England, there's no hesitation. It'll be bang, done, gone. And is it the right decision? Sure. But again, it's just refreshing to see something different. And then, yeah, I was just screaming for, I mean, what was he doing? It's one of them. He's 18 years old, right? And I've already seen nonsense about, like, oh, that Lewis Skelly's a dirty player, isn't he? He's 18 years old. He made a mistake. He overcommitted. That's it. Not that deep. But what is deep is him believing that that was the right thing to do, and hopefully it's something that, I mean, it's probably a good thing, to be fair. I always say you want mistakes to happen so you can learn from them. So if anything, being 2-0 up away from home in a knockout tie in the Champions League, and him being in a scenario where he committed a foul, which was a mistake rather than kind of jockeying, it's quite a good thing to happen, because he didn't get the red. He got subbed, so he wasn't the team didn't have like an adverse effect as a result of it. He'll learn from it, and you'll hope he'll implement whatever he's learned, and he won't do it again. Obviously, football's never that linear, but yeah, thought smart from Mikel to take him off. But that was shortly after the third goal, and Mr. Kingston Town, Mikel Merino, what a performance from him, by the way. I thought he played that centre forward role very, very well. Few ricochets in the box, but slotted that in very nicely for the third. And I was just in disbelief at this point. I was grinning from like a Cheshire cat, ear to ear. It was over the moon. Like I said, Calafiori then went off. Calafiori came on for Lewis Skelly. It was the 42nd minute when Partey then gave away the penalty. And do you know what? I've seen a lot of valid and fair criticism for Partey on that. I feel sorry for him. I think he was shoved, and I know people are saying, oh, he put his arm around the player. What's he doing? I don't think he intended to do that. I think he was running, and I think all the replays we see are in slow motion. Just put yourself in a different perspective for a minute. When you get pushed from the back, what's the first limb that moves without any control? It's your arm. You have no control over your arm. I don't think he consciously chose to go and wrap his arm around, I think, was it De Jong's head, maybe? So I was actually a bit sympathetic towards Partey there, to be honest. I don't think he intended to do that at all. I think he got pushed, and it was the action of not being in control of his arm that happened. And I'm not saying, again, like, it is a penalty. I just was a bit more sympathetic towards him. And I've got to say, on him, I thought he was bloody fantastic. I thought he was absolutely brilliant in terms of showing for the ball when we were under the cosh, just looking very press resistant on the ball, a very safe outlet. I thought he was brilliant. Yeah, on the pen, dispatched very well. But yeah, I thought Raya was a little bit suspect on that penalty. It was a bit like, well, what the fuck were you expecting? You just stood there. But yeah, half-time, 3-1 up, and I'm laughing. Absolutely laughing. Just, again, this isn't what happens. Like, our experience in the latter stages of this tournament are divided in two, right? There's the pre-Arteta era where we just took hidings and slappings. And the Arteta era in Europe was underwhelming in the knockout stages with your Sporting Lisbon exit. I can't remember if it was Olympiacos or Monaco, one of them. Last year against Porto, we made hard work of it. This is the first time I can remember seeing us absolutely give someone a hiding and a slapping, and it was nice. So 3-1 at half time, that in my eyes was a slapping at that stage, let alone what happened in the second half. And we come out, and again, it was boom, boom, bang, good night, fuck off, go home. Martin Odegaard, 4-1. He's someone that I think grew into the game. I saw a lot of praise for him and how well he played and stuff. And me personally, I thought he had a lot of areas to improve on in the first half. I thought a lot of his final decision making and the final action with him was off and almost under hitting passes or slightly wayward passing. Second half, he grew into it, and I think the goal was instrumental to that. I mean, Ethan Nwaneri on that goal as well, absolutely outstanding. What I've said about him before, his confidence in his ability to go either inside or out, step over, drop a shoulder, bang, go on the outside, that quick 2 to 3 yard acceleration to create a yard, drill it in on his weak foot, creates havoc, creates chaos, ball ricochets to Odegaard. Declan Rice is nicely pointing. There's the goal. Stick it in, mate. We're 4-1 up. And I think the captain needed that. The captain really did need that. And then literally 90 seconds later, I believe it was, Leandro Trossard with a lovely move and a lovely combination with Ricardo Calafiori. Calafiori coming on as a substitute defender, getting a goal and an assist. And I don't know if people have seen on social media, he's quite active. He seems like a proper funny guy, man. But yeah, again, nice move. Manipulated the ball really nicely on the left, slotted in Trossard, and what a finish. Just lovely dink over the keeper. 5-1 up. Stadiums are empty everywhere we go, ringing around the away end. I could hear through the television. And again, it's not something I think many of us expected, but it was needed. And we're having a jolly, which is not something we're used to in Europe. They make a couple subs, we make a couple subs. Zinchenko and Sterling come on for Nwaneri and Party. Not much to say on Sterling. Attacks died through him again, sadly. Do you know what? As much as I say not much to say, I was disappointed. I think at 5-1 up, I was hoping to see more. That was hopefully the moment for him to try and build up some confidence and some form and take players on. But every time he tried it, he lost the ball. I actually want to find the stats on that because it felt like watching him. I mean, it's saying successful dribbles 0 out of 1, so maybe I'm misremembering. But yeah, I thought I remembered him losing the ball a couple more times. But Zinchenko, by the way, that left 8 roll looks nice on him, don't it? It's one of them where I know everyone's been saying, why have we never played him there? And I've always been in the camp of he never, in my opinion, has played there for Arsenal because of his lack of physicality and dual winning ability. So I think there's one thing inverting from left back where you start out wide and move in and you're playing in central areas sporadically. There's another thing winning the ball back when you lose it in central areas, which is why I don't think he's ever played there. But now, I mean, the game states we've seen him in, yeah, sure, that works perfectly, don't it, when we need that? So, yeah, that was nice to see. And then the 6th goal, Odegaard, it was nice to see him again. This is what I speak about in terms of the confidence growing. He drove with the ball, didn't he, a few times? And that kind of happened with this goal as well. I think the ball was manipulated by Merino nicely in the central area. And even that part of his game, Merino, he was fantastic. Just everything stuck with him. Dropped the shoulder out to Odegaard. Odegaard runs with the ball, gets to the central area, and you can picture it. You're picturing Newcastle away, Tottenham away. You're thinking, go on, shoot. He does shoot. It's not quite Newcastle, Tottenham away, straight at the keeper. Keeper flaps at it, and it hits the back of the net. But sometimes that's what you need. 6-1 away from home. We see Kieran Tierney come on. We see Ben White come on. Perfect squad rotation and squad management. Merino and Timber make way. And then Mr. Vibes, Calafiori himself with the 7th, with a very, very traditional Italian centre forward running in behind, Martin Odegaard playing him through. And what a finish on his weak foot out of position to make it 7-1 to the Arsenal, our biggest ever away win in the Champions League. There was a carnival in Eindhoven this week, and do you know what? I'm glad it was us that was celebrating and not them. We deserve this shit, honestly. What a game. It's funny looking at the stats, according to FOTMob, expected goals was 1.38 to our 1.91. 12 shots to them, 15 to us, 2 on target for them, 8 for us. So 7 goals from 8 shots on target. And do you know what? That's what we've been missing, right? Arteta speaks about efficiency and clinical in both boxes. That's what we were last night. And do you know what? If it weren't for the penalty, I know they had a couple of chances, but even structurally, we were just so impressive. Couple players. I want to go through the players that didn't naturally come up as I was talking through the goals there. And the 2 are the centre-backs. They were unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. Saliba was, you could tell from the first minute, so front-footed and aggressive, but very commanding in every duel. I think sometimes he looks a little bit not half-assed, but just not as commanding, and he looks a tiny bit timid. Not last night. Every single duel that went into him, he was on that. And then he showed composure on the ball when he was in tight spaces and under pressure. Absolutely brilliant. And as always, partnered by Gabriel, who was fantastic. And do you know what? One thing I want to say, actually, fuck off, Ivan Perisic. You shit, beep. He was running his mouth pre-match, weren't he? The flipping has been. And I saw he got in a little argy-bargy with Gabriel as well. Like, that's what you get. Run your mouth and you get popped off 7-1 against the Arsenal. Absolute has-been he is. And he was fucking pathetic, he was. Anyone that's played for that lot, I hate. I thought the 2 centre-backs, absolutely phenomenal. Just looking through the starting 11, I spoke about everyone. I just want to say maybe someone that I didn't maybe go as high on that I should have. Trossard. I thought he was brilliant as well. He really stepped up. He manipulated the ball really nicely, showed intent, showed purpose in what he was doing. Really, really good stuff. And yeah, like I said, I thought we managed the squad rotation really nicely as well. Just all in all, what a night. These are nights that I think this is going to be spoken about for years in our history. And 7-1 away from it's one of them. I don't know what to say that will do it justice. It's just, and I think that sometimes is the best thing to do. You just have to almost not say that much and just be like, wow, I can't believe what I've witnessed. I had a few stats that were looking great, which I can't flipping find now, but Ethan Nwaneri, Miles Lewis-Skelly touched on there the records. Ethan Nwaneri now, by the way, the 3rd youngest Champions League goal scorer. I can't remember if it was in just the Champions League in general or just the knockouts, but 2nd it was Bellingham. 1st was Bojan, who I know obviously went on to have a bit of a weird career at Stoke, but when he first came onto the scene at Barca, he was touted as the next big thing. And then in 4th and 5th behind Nwaneri, I mean, the company he's in is Jamal Musiala, and I think the 5th was Kylian Mbappe at Monaco. So unbelievable. And do you know what it was with him? It was every time he got the ball, the intent and the purpose to drive. And there was one where he dribbled from right to left and kind of kept shimmying, then took a shot. Granted, it went over or it hit I think the keeper parried it. I can't remember, but it's that give him space and he will kill. He's 17 years old. That's so scary as a talent. And I think this is the thing, like when I can't stress enough that there's going to be 2 Arsenals. If a team sits there and parks a bus against us, we're slightly handicapped with what we have. If a team comes to play us, we have got such an elite coach that we are in the conversation for any game. And I mean any game, regardless of no attack. And I cannot tell you how much of a reminder and a refresher last night was for me in what this team is capable of when we actually enter a game and a competitive game where teams try to play us and teams don't just reluctantly think, oh, we'll just sacrifice everything today. It's Arsenal. And it's testament and it's a compliment to the level we are at. And honestly, in terms of future planning, it makes me even more bullish on what this group can achieve under this manager. Even more bullish. Like I said on Monday with Mike, we beat 80% of the teams we come up comfortably. We rarely look like losing. Our vulnerabilities rarely look like they're going to get exploited. The 15-20% room for improvement is clear, and it's, I would argue, dependent on the right attacking signings. Get that in, combine that with what we're already excellent with, and I think the sky is the limit for this group. I really do. Um, Last night is special. Don't let anyone gaslight you into trying to play it down. Even if we end up getting knocked out in the quarterfinal, you'll hear the bullshit of, oh, they won the Champions League, didn't they, against PSV in the round of 16? It's not normal. I've seen records being broken that PSV is the most I think the first time they've conceded more than 5 in their whole history, stuff like that. Like, it's not normal what we did last night, and we need to cherish it and we need to soak it in, because these are the nights we wanted. Don't ever forget that. We've been away from the Champions League for so long. This is our second year back in the tournament. And in our second year going into the campaign, we were the bookies' third favourite. It took Pep 7 years to win this competition with unlimited resources, with questionable frameworks on how he did it, and it took him 7 years. This is our second year back in the tournament, and we're third favourites, and we're all saying there's gaping holes in the squad, and we can all see what we're missing. It's a special group. It's a really special group. The one slight caveat, and it comes back to what I said already, I personally, I'm not going to tell anyone how to think or feel. What I'm watching in Europe, I'm not expecting to see in the Premier League. Again, it comes down to, I'm not expecting Man United to come and play us on Sunday. I'm not expecting Chelsea to come and play us. So unfortunately, I think we are going to see more West Ham, hopefully less West Ham, more Nottingham Forest, more Leicester type games where they're a bit cagey. In Europe, as long as a team plays us, we are in with a chance. I've booked my flights to Madrid. I will be there regardless on if it's Atletico or Real Madrid. I mean, yeah, let me know if you're watching this back in the comments below. Who do you want? Do you want Real Madrid or Atletico Madrid? And if we get through, I mean, are we dreaming? And who do you want? Like, again, it's a big if, right? Like, if we get through Real Madrid or Atletico Madrid, it's then one of Liverpool, PSG, Aston Villa, or Club Brugge. Who do you then want? I know it's one game at a time, but I cannot tell you how much I needed this and something to bring me back into dreaming, because I was in the headspace of the season is done. Like, domestically, I think the season is finished. In Europe, it's given me a little bit of a what's the thing when someone pumps the chest with that medical assist equipment, a defibrillator, I think it is. Yeah, someone has just pumped my chest full of electrics. I'm revived when it comes to Europe. And I think the biggest thing, again, I'm sorry if I'm a bit of a parrot broken record, but the biggest thing was I forgot what it's like to play against a team that actually comes and tries to play us. And we are fucking exceptional when that happens. So on that note, bring it on. It's nice that the tie is done. The tie is absolutely done. I mean, yeah, let me know. What do you think he'll do next week? I personally don't think he will start the Butler, Dejis and Cabias and stuff. I think if everyone was fit, he would rotate. I think the rotation will come in the likes of like Zinchenko will start. Ben White will start. I don't think Nwaneri will start. I think he'll look to manage his minutes, and maybe Sterling will start. But I don't think he'll go for anyone that isn't in his ideal first team group. So, like, I think your Butler, your Dejis, and your Cabias are kind of emergency players that have been called up in an injury crisis, right? I don't think they're going to get the nod to a start. And even more on that, to the point where, am I saying the ties in any doubt? No, I think our manager has a fucking sickness and an illness which makes me love him, in that he, in his head, is going to want to win the game in isolation next Wednesday as well. Nothing to do with the tie being in doubt, just in his mind, he wants to win the game again. And that's why I don't think he'll do too much. The team he will play, in my opinion, that starts the night next Wednesday, will be, in his eyes, the team that has the best chance of winning the game. And you know what? I bloody hope we absolutely batter them again. These things are an opportunity to. Timber spoke about changing the narrative, right? I spoke about that prick Perisic in the like that's the way people were viewing us. You wallop PSV again 3-4-0 and you're winning 11-1 on aggregate or something. Teams are going to be scared of us regardless of the stature. So it's an opportunity to go and win convincingly, break some more records, change the narrative, lift the energy around the place, and bring on Real or Atletico. I cannot wait. This is what it's about, right? We were not in this competition for years. I remember, I will never, ever, ever forget how I felt when Arteta first took over. I thought we were years away from being at the top level, and we've got it. We have absolutely got it. And I said this on Monday with Uncle Mike. Every August that comes around, as long as he's in charge, I believe we have a chance of challenging for the Premier League and getting to the Champions League quarterfinals minimum every year. With the right recruitment, that will shift to semi-finals. Domestic cups, I think we need to improve, but do I care? Not really. But I think with the right squad recruitment and depth and injury luck, we have got a group where I really believe deep down in my heart we're going to challenge every year and just soak it in. That the Champions League is not a place to take for granted. And like we may get knocked out against Real and Atletico. And do you know what? It will be heartbreaking if that happens, but we are back in with a chance. We are absolutely back in with a chance. And I think a lot of that is the elite manager we've got. And I emphasize that he is elite. And unfortunately, the way modern football and analysis and media works, you don't get your credit until you've done the job. The problem is there's a lot of us with foresight that can see exactly what this man is capable of. And there have been sprinkles of moments along the way that are clear markers on what we are going to do as a football club under his guidance. And last night was special. I just absolutely loved it. I'm actually ill at the minute, but you know what? I needed this. This was so fun to do. And you know what? I'm tempted to go rewatch the whole bloody game. So thank you for those that joined live. If you enjoyed it, if anything resonated with you in terms of how you're feeling, drop the stream a like, subscribe to the channel. Trying to get to 400 subs before the end of the season, so that would help me a lot if you could help me get there. I've got Man United away next. Like I said, I'm expecting a different game in that to what we saw last night, to be honest, but PSV again next week, then Chelsea. Then I think it's Fulham. Oh, I'm not going to try to relay the schedule. But yeah, on to the next one. Like I said, drop the stream a like, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future episodes. Help me on the road to 400. And if you're listening on audio, a 5-star review goes a long way. And as I always say, especially as a smaller pod, word of mouth goes a long way. If you've got any Gooner mates that you think would enjoy this type of content and listening to this, share it. It goes a long way, more than you realize, more than you believe. So yeah, and let me know in the comments anything on how you were feeling that you think didn't get discussed. Really curious. The big one I want to know is who everyone wants. Let me know in the comments below. Do you want Atletico Madrid or do you want Real Madrid? Lovely stuff. 7-1 away from home in the Champions League. Up the fucking Arsenal. Come on.